Today I'm getting ran through by 100 guys.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Blue. I slept with over 1,000 men, including probably your husband.
All right, well, today I wanted to talk about why Lilly Phillips and Bonnie Blue will have no problem finding a husband. There was an article where Lilly Phillips was questioning whether a guy would marry her, and I thought it was hilarious, and to be honest, it's a really interesting topic in the dating and manosphere space. I think there are many reasons why both of them will not have any problems finding a husband or having a family despite them having sex publicly with over 1,000 men. I think the biggest reason is that most men are just very, very lonely and desperate out there. Men are down bad when it comes to getting attention from women, whether it's on dating apps, approaching women at bars and clubs. Most men get very, very little attention from women throughout their entire life, thus leading them to literally make the first girl that gives them a chance their wife because they don't have many options. They swipe endlessly for days on end, hoping to match with a hottie, and to their dismay, they end up resorting to Jill and firing up good old browsers. Seeing their favorite star in the hub is like a temporary euphoric escape from their seemingly dull existence. There's this belief in the manosphere space that women like Bonnie Blue or Lilly Phillips will never be able to find a husband or have a family because they have slept with over 1,000 men. But that's just sadly not the case. And personally, I could never imagine marrying someone who's had sex with over 1,000 men, imagining how many guys she's been with, and just the thought of her being with all those men. But I think outside of the manosphere space, most men just don't think that way. I can also remember when I was in my early 20s, before ascending, I was a fat, balding, lonely, desperate, Cheeto-stained sub-5 male, when I hadn't gotten with a girl for pretty much 2 years. And when I was in that desperate stage, I hate to say this, but I would have definitely wiped up a lot of roads if she knocked on my door back then. And obviously after ascending, I can think logically, and I'd like to think I wouldn't date and marry a hot porn star. For women that have been with so many men, it's definitely going to be much harder for them to feel something romantically and sexually for a guy if she's been with that many men sexually. I mean, sure, physical attraction is physical attraction, but a woman that has had that many bodies is going to be harder to turn into wifey material, to put it lightly. The fact that 1,000 men showed up to have sex with both of them shows how desperate most men are to have sex with an attractive woman, and they're both definitely very attractive. You can't objectively say that either of them aren't attractive, otherwise you'd just be kidding yourself. The men who showed up to have sex with them were probably most likely extremely desperate, and they realized that Bonnie Blue or Lilly Phillips would be the most attractive woman they would ever have sex with in their entire life. And some of these guys flew across an entire ocean to have sex with them, to line up with the other 999 guys. That's how down bad they are. Most men just can't have sex with an attractive woman. They either aren't physically attractive enough themselves, they don't have the fame to naturally attract a girl of that caliber, so they signed up for their OnlyFans, simped for them for months, and some of them flew across time zones just to have 5 minutes of fun with them. I can't imagine watching the guys in front of you go in one after another, and then you have to be guy number 669 and have sex with her while she's covered in cum from head to toe. I wouldn't be able to get that image out of my head and be with a girl like that. But like I said, most men, I think, in this day and age of 2025 are so desperate and lonely that they would probably chop off a hand to be with either Bonnie Blue or Lilly Phillips. And I think when some guys watch a porn star for a long enough period of time, they become infatuated with them over time. And I would bet my last dollar that almost all of their fans and followers would wife them up in a heartbeat. And that's just obvious, this older gentleman.
She has some super fan crazy dude. I'm gonna have to kill this guy.
How are you?
Thank you for coming.
You're very welcome. These are yours.
Oh my god.
Absolutely. And later, before you leave, I'll give you your birthday present.
My birthday present?
Yeah, it's in the car.
You're gonna stay around?
Yeah, I have all day.
Well, when he sticks around, we're sticking around too, right, guys? Yeah.
Okay.
You want to go and open all your presents?
Let's do it. Oh my god.
Move my jacket and jump in the seat.
What is that? This is perfect. How do you know me so well?
This is my job. Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's a neon sign. Oh my god. Yes. This is so pretty.
I think the second biggest reason that most men will date and marry a porn star is because, in addition to most men being lonely and desperate, men will fuck just about anything, especially if the girl is attractive. You can make an argument that if a former adult actress gains a ton of weight and completely loses her looks, the stigma from her having done that kind of work will definitely make their dating life much, much harder. But I definitely think the ones that stay in shape and keep their looks, most men out there outside of the manosphere space will just definitely date them and jump at the chance to be with them. That's just the cold hard truth. 1,000 dudes literally lined up for both Bonnie Blue and Lilly Phillips. And honestly, you would see the same thing for really any female porn star that's at least somewhat attractive. I'm sure the porn stars that have a Kick or Twitch account, like Sky Bree, like in the previous clip, have tens of thousands of guys simping for them nonstop just because they're hot enough, and that's, enough for most men, and they'll look past the fact that she has had hundreds of or thousands of bodies. And I think for the average everyday guy, so think of just like an average looking guy who doesn't have any notable money or status, doesn't have a very interesting life. If a hot porn star somehow becomes interested in them, which wouldn't happen in a million years, I think that just about every one of them would take it and drop to a knee and propose real quick, unless that guy has very, very strong moral and religious values. I think the next biggest reason is the ego boost that a guy will get from dating a hot female porn star. Sure, they'll definitely get clowned on in the manosphere space, but in their circle of friends, they're probably getting massive props. That's just the way it is. Most guys aren't really aware of female nature, hypergamy, and how a woman's body count dictates a lot of how she acts and treats a guy. They just want the ego boost that comes with being with a hot, famous porn star. A lot of people also argue that the guys that will date porn stars aren't very high value themselves, but that doesn't always seem to be the case either. I definitely think if you're a man that's attractive and has a lot of dating options, you won't resort to dating a porn star, but this isn't always the case. I mean, Riley Reid was probably one of the most well-known adult actresses, and she ended up marrying a pretty famous free runner, and he's also pretty famous within the music industry as well.
Last name now.
So you never call her Riley?
No, never.
Okay. How did you guys meet?
Instagram.
Right. You slid in her DMs?
She did. She slid in mine.
The world amazed me when I came to know your existence. Who you are and what you deserve is a constant love and persistence. I wish nothing more than to be the one who loves you day and night, to cherish you and adore you.
When Riley Reid DM'd him, he wasn't thinking of all the men she had been with, and he was probably just thinking about how hot he thought she was, and then he liked her vibe, and they got into a relationship. And like I said, a lot of guys don't seem to care that a girl was a former porn star, even guys that would be considered very, very high value. And I would say this guy falls into that category to an extent. Does anyone remember Lana Rhoades? Of course you do, you horny sack of shit. She ended up having a kid with the NBA player Bruce Brown, very famous, and has made a boatload of money in the NBA. He definitely got ripped on by his teammates for damn sure, but this is another example of how adult actresses will be just fine from a dating perspective long term. She also dated Mike Malak, who's pretty famous as well, for a couple of years. He's like Logan Paul's best friend, and he didn't seem to have an issue with it as well. And Lana was his favorite adult actress, and he grew up watching her, so it was like a dream to date her for that period of time. I think they dated for a couple of years. And like I said, I feel like the stigma behind dating and marrying a porn star is definitely there in the manosphere space, the red pill space, and obviously for good reasons. But outside of the manosphere and red pill space, most men would gladly date and marry their favorite adult actress if she knocked on their door, especially if they're on a dry spell or their life is just very dull and boring. And like I said, guys with a lot of options that know about female nature, know about hypergamy, the BP, the RP, they may not date and marry a porn star, but to be honest, I think if a very hot porn star would be able to get some of these guys to cave in, especially if they grew up watching her and had a strong lust for her at some point in the past. Men think with their small brain much more than their big brain most of the time, especially when it comes to hot chicks. Then there's Jenna Jameson, arguably the most famous adult actress of all time. Trust me, I remember those faps. And Tito Ortiz had like 3 kids with her. Like, he had a whole family with her. And you would think that someone like Tito Ortiz, who's a famous UFC star, if anyone who's watched UFC, like, Tito Ortiz was a badass. Like, he had some really, really sick fights. Like, he knew how to throw it down. You would think someone like him wouldn't have dated and had a family with a porn star, but you'd be wrong in thinking so. Like I said, most men, even famous men, if they find a woman attractive enough, they'll look past a lot. And in Tito's case, he looked past a woman with thousands of bodies because she was just smoking hot back then. And he got the ego boost from dating a famous porn star at the end of the day. I think that's a big reason guys will date and marry a porn star. They get a massive ego boost from dating her, and despite the ribbing from their their coworkers or some of their friends or their in Tito Ortiz's case or his fellow fighters, millions and potentially billions of men have wanked off to that, would look past the negatives of her having been with so many men. I definitely think that there will be some men that these famous porn stars will want to date in the future that have a lot of options, and they'll most likely be famous guys or just very attractive men that won't want to date them like long term or marry them. And these men may choose the better option of a very attractive woman that has less of a promiscuous past, or they may have family pressure not to date and marry a girl like Bonnie or Lily. But there will definitely be millions, if not a billion guys on the planet but there will definitely be a lot of guys that society would deem very high value that will end up marrying them or having kids with them because of their high attractiveness, despite them, having thousands of bodies and being former porn stars. In conclusion, they won't be able to date every single high value man that they want to date. But I think the vast, vast majority of guys out there will definitely date and marry a porn star. It's just kind of the way it is. Like I said, men think with their small brain. They don't think logically. Well, that's my take on why Lilly Phillips and Bonnie Blue will have no problem finding a husband or having a family. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to comment down below your perspective. And feel free to subscribe. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care.